been chasing a world that never slows.
In this video, we're going to walk you through the 5 hidden costs of building here in the Philippines that we wish we knew earlier. We're going to discuss how we handled them, what we'd do differently, and at the end, we're going to share with you a couple of extra little tips that could really save you some money. So if you're thinking about building in the Philippines or anywhere in Asia, this could be the best 10 minutes you spend all week. The first cost you need to consider if you are buying a vacant block of land like we did is clearing it. So when we arrived here in Corellia, this was very heavily vegetated with trees everywhere. It took 4 days for 15 guys at 600 pesos each. It's 9,000 pesos a day, or 36,000 pesos over the 4 days. I think it's about $631 US. But the good thing is that the trees which we cut down from the property were milled, and we could use it in various parts of the house. So although it might be a little bit of a cost, it's sustainable and it's kind of budget friendly, and you make that money back. The second hidden cost, and this is very different to building in other countries, is you're going to be required to build a bunkhouse before you can even start doing anything. So a bunkhouse is for your staff to stay, but also for you to store materials, and you probably won't be able to get an electricity connection or a temporary electricity connection unless you have some kind of structure on the property. So without it, you can't start building. It cost us 25,000 pesos, which at the time I thought was going to be very cheap to house many guys, but it was made from mostly the wood from the property, plus some other bits and pieces brought in. We even put a little toilet in there. That's only about $431. And at the end of it, they pulled it down. It was just behind us. I'll show you what it looked like now. 15 staff that we have. 11 of them stay on site, 4 of them go home at the end of the day. But let's have a look at the quarters where they look. It's not that luxurious. Somehow there's I think about 4 or 5 people that stay in here. They've got like power, rice cooker. At the back, as you can see over there, is a little toilet, makeshift toilet that they have made. And then there's another little staff house here, just made out of light material. And the wood from the bunkhouse they were able to use for other parts of building our house. Now this third one can really screw your budget if you don't plan ahead, and it's kind of 3 things. It's site leveling, drainage, and access. And there's a few things you really need to consider, like firstly, can you get heavy machinery like a concrete truck or a backhoe down your driveway? Do you have the right access? Because if you don't and everything needs to be moved in on foot, like materials, and excavation needs to be done manually, it can really add to the time and the cost. Do you need to cross someone else's property to access yours to get things in like materials? If not, you might need to buy a little piece of land off your neighbour, beg them or pay them to use the land, or they might just say a blanket, no you can't, and I've seen that happen before. So really make sure that there's no issues with getting to the property. It's important that you pick a spot on your property that is stable enough and level enough to build. You might want to take advantage of a view, except the cost of excavation and retaining walls might make it really expensive. A friend of mine recently bought a property and he wanted to build a particular house style on the property, but it was sloping so much, and the cost of the retaining walls and the excavation was going to cost the same as the property build itself. Are there any potential drainage issues with the lot that will determine where you choose to put your house? When we came in to see this lot, it was overgrown, but it was dry as a bone. And it wasn't until we got 5 days of rain that we realized that our driveway was underwater and we couldn't access. That had some roll-on effects, like we couldn't get a concrete truck in and the guys had to do all the cement by hand. 15 guys mixing cement and passing it in so we could do the foundations. Luckily, our architect builder took that extra cost and time on his own budget and didn't extend past 6 months. We actually got this house done in 6 months. I guess if we had our time again, we could have asked the neighbours if there were any drainage issues or waited for a big deluge of rain and come and checked. But would it have changed our minds? I don't think so. We're still very happy with the property, but it's something you need to consider. This fourth one can be a real kick in the balls. Well, for me it was kind of just a kick in one, but it can be a real big kick in two, which is getting electricity connected and your internet. Now, getting our water connected was no issues and it wasn't expensive, it was pretty straightforward, but I didn't realize with our electricity that we were running on a temporary supply, and when we actually moved in and got connected to the grid, it cost us 45,000 pesos. Now, it's not a lot of money, it's only about 790 US dollars, but we hadn't factored it in. And had we have known, we would have used that 45,000 pesos to put towards a larger solar setup, which we ended up doing anyway. So we spent 135,000 pesos on increasing our solar panels and our battery storage, and now we've never had a power bill and never had to connect to the grid. So
If we knew what we knew now, we would have just increased our solar. We got quite lucky with our internet connection through PLDT. We were living in Cebu and we just paid $1,100 for a transfer. Now, I had 5 or 6 guys, I'll show you. And they had to run a cable 800 meters up to the house and it only cost 1,100 pesos. But I've heard horror stories of people who have had new connections where they've had to run cables around 1 kilometer and they've paid over about 100,000 pesos. Now there is other companies like Skynet, what is it, Starlink? Elon Musk's one, but the hardware is 30,000 pesos alone and the monthly fees are quite high. So if you're looking at a lot, make sure you can get some kind of internet connection. And if you're going to do solar, go all in at the start. The 5th cost we didn't consider was fencing, and we didn't really consider it until we had a couple of local drunks wander through the property and we couldn't get rid of them. And April said, maybe we should set a perimeter around the outside. Now we got quoted 330,000 pesos for our 1,440 lot to get fully encased, is that what you'd say? With quite a permanent structure with concrete pillars and wood. We ended up going with another quote which was 130,000 pesos, which is steel pipe with bamboo and concrete stumps, but I think it looks good and it's pretty cost effective. So yes, that's 5 hidden costs, but I do have a few more up my sleeve. Well, I'm not actually wearing sleeves, but these ones I don't think you're going to think of, and they could potentially save you a lot of money, starting with furnishings, appliances and final touches. So things like air cons, water pumps, stovetops, water heaters, and all your furnishings aren't usually part of your build, and that stuff can really add up fast. But again, if you mill wood from your property, you can use it to make beautiful furniture like this outdoor table, which cost us 3,000 pesos just in the labor, and we just had to buy a little bit of metal. Plus things like 3 beautiful mahogany floating bed frames, which only cost us 9,000 pesos, about 158 US dollars. Would have cost us at least 3 times that if we went to a furniture store. 2 last quick tips. Now, if your contractor hasn't given you a set in stone quote, you might need to factor in things like delays. So material shortages, crew availability, and weather can really affect and extend the length of time it's going to take you, which is going to blow out your labor budget. If you're paying for accommodation while you're waiting for your house to be built and it's running a little bit late, you may need to factor in the cost of staying in that accommodation for longer. So there you have it. That's our 5 hidden costs of building here in the Philippines or anywhere in Asia, plus a few extras thrown in for free. Of course, there's going to be some other things that come up along the way, like you're going to decide to change things, and changing things while you're building is a lot cheaper. For instance, we're standing on a terrace at the moment, which was initially going to be some crazy shape until we decided it really needed to reflect the size of the house. Only cost us an extra 110,000 pesos, and it was so worth it. There's a few little extra things that might be thrown in, like landscaping and gardening as well. There are many hidden costs to building, but if you are armed with the right information at the start, you're going to have a much better result at the end and probably a few less tears. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with what's happening here at Corellia Homestead. We're the Grounded Nomads.
Until next time.
Take care. I need coffee. I really need coffee.